Hello everyone, your OD girl from Inspire OD. I want to cover a little bit more about the use of data in OD today and why it's so important and what kinds of data you can use in an OD change piece of work. I mentioned in another video, OD places data at its core and it informs every step of an OD process, and it is really true. So I want to cover the importance of the data and how you can utilise it. So why is data so important in an OD process or change piece of work? The data or information that you collect will give you a better understanding of why this change work is being asked. It's going to evidence gaps and themes that can support or hinder the change, and it's also how people are feeling about the change as well. That's the information that you're going to gather. So this data will show you, the client, and all the stakeholders how to work with the reality of the challenge and the situation. And it's going to affect you and all the client in the plan of approach to this change piece of work. So you can see just already how important this is going to impact on change. So another key thing to remember, that this way in which you collect data and the quality of it is either going to hinder or support the OD intervention and its possibilities. So that's why data and the information that you collect is so important. So gather as much as you possibly can. So there's different kinds of data that you might need, and having a diverse range of sources is only going to help better your chances of the change work and its intervention being the best it can possibly be. So what are some of these data sources? I want to start off with talking about soft data. So this is your qualitative data. It involves collecting information on how people feel, their opinions, their perceptions, their ideas, and even points of view observations as well. You can collect this type of data through direct observations, sitting watching the organisation and how things go on, holding focus groups with people, having one-to-one interviews, also stakeholder questionnaires, people's stories, gathering people's stories, what it's like to live and breathe the organisation, and also organisational staff surveys are really helpful. This type of data is typically going to give you personal thoughts on the organisation, people's loyalties and commitments, and importantly, people's thoughts on the proposed change piece of work. When you're holding sort of interviews or having certain questionnaires, you need to be asking things about what do you think about this change piece of work, and that's going to give you a flavour of the type of intervention that you might want to take on board. So the next thing I want to talk about is hard data. So this type is typically factual and it can be quantified in comparison to your soft data. And this data is generated by technology or your workplace applications that are typically held by HR. It could be other sources, but generally HR. So the types of data that you'd be looking at here are performance reports, turnover rates, grievance rates, trading figures, return on investment on policy changes, annual reports from the organisation, consumer feedback, and even evaluations from development programmes that are already in the organisation. So you can just see from those ones that I've mentioned, there's a number of data sources. There are so many more as well. And all of these data sources and collection methods are going to be some of the areas that you want to touch on. It's going to give you a flavour on where to start in your change piece of work. It is dependent on the nature of the task. So what you want to do is look at those data sources and those methods and the way that you're actually going to collect this data. So what you really want to think about when you're doing all of this is that your data collection processes and methods need to ensure that they're going to achieve the aim, and always make sure, and I have mentioned it a couple of times already, but I want to emphasise that using a diverse range of data and methods is so vitally important, because remember in OD, you're always working with a large range of different stakeholders and different agendas that are going to be interested and impacted by the change work. And they'll want to see what the benefits are and actually how it's going to make a difference to their working life for the better. So the quality of your data is going to support this and be really important to get across to these stakeholders. So I hope you've enjoyed this video on data and OD. And if you have, please subscribe to the channel and watch out for more videos about the world of OD.